Who were the real bad guys in Vietnam? You can tell I'm sorting this out right now. I've been making videos about Vietnam, but for years I've been sorting this out. I've always been intrigued by Vietnam because it's not this thing that it was so cut and dry of here's exactly why we're fighting this war. Here's the justified reason why how we're defending our country by going to Vietnam. It's easier to do that in hindsight, to look back and ask it, but I'm just asking an honest answer. Who were the real bad guys? Who was the true villain in the Vietnam War? Because like my understanding of it is that France had colonized or occupied it for a couple hundred years. They pull out, which causes communism to grow. America thinks, oh no, that's a threat. We better stop the threat. We go over there. No one wins the war. We leave. But ultimately, and here's what further inspired this, is one of my favorite shows. Now I'm going back and watching all the episodes a second time on Parts Unknown with Anthony Bourdain on Netflix. There's the episode about Vietnam. And on the second half of the episode, he spends time with a family that were North Vietnamese, that they had to hide out in these tunnels that they built during the war. And this guy, who's now, I think, in his 40s, he was a baby during Vietnam. So the first 6 years of his life, he grew up underground in tunnels. And, the Americans were the bad guys coming to kill them, right? But it's like, if you were born in North Vietnam, if you were born into that, and all this things was going on politically, what do? Say, you know what? I agree with the Americans coming over to try to beat us. I'm actually going to join. I mean, if you're born over there, what do? It's a political war to begin with, like so many wars are. We're fighting in the name of a political cause, a belief system, fear of one. But were the Vietnamese guys, army, family, were they really the bad guys? Is there any chance that everyone who was fighting that war was? And I know it's easy to tag it on the Americans. Oh, well, it's the Americans that really made it. I'm just wondering, were the North Vietnamese people, soldiers, were they really bad people? Were they the true villains in this? Or is there some way that we could look at this and think, if the Americans made this war into the thing it was by their involvement in it, were they the bad guys? I mean, granted, you'd say that if you're North Vietnamese, but in hindsight, if I was born on the Vietnamese border and I was of age to be fighting as a soldier, what else would I do? It's not like I'm necessarily even fighting for my own country. I'm fighting for my own survival. Is that a bad person that does that? I'm sorting this out. I really don't know the answer, but I like having this channel because we can have conversations about it. And even if I'm made to be a fool or an idiot for asking such a stupid question because I don't know enough about war history, so be it. If I can learn something from this as far as sorting out Vietnam. And why do I ask so many questions about Vietnam? Because history repeats itself, right? And I've asked the question too, when's the last time the United States was in a legitimate war, a justified war? And a lot of people keep saying World War II. So if that's the case, then not only was Vietnam not justified, but all of the other wars we've been having are the same way. We've traded the ethnicity and the religion and the belief system, but ultimately we're fighting something across the world, something that we see as a threat, that we don't want to come here, and we say that we're fighting for our freedom. All question marks. I'm asking questions, but ultimately I think the way I need to start this discussion or continue this discussion is to figure out, in hindsight, who are the real bad guys? Who are the real villains in the Vietnam War? I don't know. I need you to tell me right here.